welcome back to the channel. Looking at FPX Nickel, probably the best nickel mine of the future. I'll explain about it now. So what happened here with the price? They bring out a feasibility study. Actually on the 9th of September I thought it was brought out. So the price climbed up. That might have been insider trading. That might have been expectation of it coming out. I'm not really sure. Need to say it bought up. I bought in quite high. And it's came down, but I'm not worried because with a nickel stock, like any mining stock, you want to buy low, sell high, and referring to the nickel price. The nickel price at the moment in historical averages is just mid-range, just below mid-range, and every so often it shoots up because when it's low, no one's looking for the nickel, and then when they need it, there's no one to produce it because no one's been looking for it. So FPX Nickel has one of the biggest mines in the world, just based on this deposit here that they've drilled out. Right now, they're drilling out this one, and it looks to be, if not the same size, so they're going to drill out, test that, and they could double their size of the deposit, double everything. Would probably relate to a double the share price as well. But just this alone is a huge project. So just all their studies now are just based on this thing, and it's already quite big, like world size. And if it gets that, it's going to be double the size. So that's what you look for. If you look at this interview, so you'll think FPX Nickel is quite cheap, isn't it? Looking at everything, so he goes in this interview, why is it cheap? Because it's a big project. You have to spend, whoever buys it has to spend a few billion to get it going. But once it get going, it's going to be Class A, probably the best project in the world, and a low carbon footprint. So go through their presentation here. You can actually look up FPX Nickel Corp and hear the CEO go through the presentation, but I'll also go through the good bits. So nickel is going to come greater demand than copper, cobalt, zinc. Something not in here that's going to be in demand, lithium. It's only 2% of the battery, but it's going to be in very high demand. Case for nickel. So they're saying there's going to be a deficit, meaning the price should shoot up. And when it shoots up, that's probably when you want to sell out of these stocks, because they'll stay up for a while, but then the price will go down, and so will the stock. So buy low, sell high. So this Dakar project. So there we have the two targets, and they have some other targets here. So they'll probably just get going on this. 30,000 meters drilled, so that's a lot of drilling. So they're going to drill this out now. Come back down. So the history of the mine, they got this mine off some other one, went bankrupt because the nickel price goes down. No one can afford anything, so they have to sell off their assets, things like that. So it's actually 75% nickel, 25% iron. So they will get iron ore credits, but iron ore is like $100 a ton compared to nickel, which is 15,000 a ton or something like that. Go look it up. It's quite a lot. And not 15,000. I'm not sure. I can't remember. It's 8,000 a ton. Wait a minute. It was just on the slide here. I will go back. A pound. So it's $4 a pound. This red line, that's the actual supply deficit. This is the cash price. So when it shoots up like this to $16 a pound, you want to sell out. And they say nickel always is about double the price of copper, and right now it's actually less than that double of the amount. So they say it's going to go up in that regard, but who knows. So come back down here. We will come down to some good points on why FPX Nickel is so good. So the lowest quartile, they're a low cost producer. You always want to buy a low cost producer because in the bad times they'll make a little bit of money, and the other high cost producers won't be able to even mine because they can't afford it. They won't make money, and in the good times they'll make a lot of money. So you've got 35-year mine life here, and this is cost per ton annual nickel production. So that's that 1.7 billion they spent at the start equates to them paying 37,000 per ton. Um, so anyway, that just means a low cost compared to all these other big mines here. So you spend that 1.7 billion dollars, and then that equates to 37,000 per each ton each year. Hopefully you can work that out. So down here, so the mine life, they're up with the two biggest mine lives here. Top three. Cost per pounds, they're not as low as these guys, but these guys have probably high grade small mines. They're going to do them in 10 years and that's it. Baptiste is a massive project, and say there's 35 years mine life, and they can double the resource. That will increase, this bubble will increase. Bubble size corresponds to scale of average annual production. I'm not sure if they take more out of the ground each year or they just extend the mine life, might be a bit of both. So then we got the ratio of mine life to payback. So you take the mine life 35 years and divide that by the payback years, which is I think 4 years for them, and they got a high ratio compared to everyone else. So you take that as what you want to take it. Here we have the ratio of mine life to payback after tax. They're quite high, so that's red is copper, blue zinc, green nickel, then nickel. So very high again. Take in mind they can double the mine life or mine more tons per year when they drill out the van target and expand that. So this is what caught my eye. Why were they so cheap compared to MPV? So the reasons why, because probably it's a big capital cost. And I think I read this slide up there wrong. Anyway, there's a big capital cost to get started, but their 0.06, their market cap is that much of the MPV. Compared to these other projects, that makes them very cheap. And the MPV is going to double if they can drill out Van Target and become successful. And if not, it's still very cheap just on the Baptiste deposit. Okay, so the reason we're going green is for electric vehicles. And, sorry, the reason we're going to electric vehicles is we're going green. So these guys, tons of CO2 for each ton of nickel, very low compared to everyone else. Nickel pig iron, they're very low. So that's good. Someone like Tesla will, or the European people making cars will say, you're going to have to pay tax on that nickel for that battery because it wasn't CO2 friendly, and Baptiste might be successful there, or someone might want to buy a car where the battery was from a low nickel source. People really care on the price, so they've got a low price for the nickel and they've got the CO2. So if you don't care about CO2, they're good on price as well. So it's a win-win. More on green choice. And yeah, here's all the boxes they've ticked. Near surface, consistent grade, conventional open pit mining, large resource with expansion potential. So it's already big and they can expand it. Conventional metallurgy, however you say that. Low capital intensity. $37K ton. I don't quite understand this one. 37,000 ton annual nickel output. I don't quite understand that. If someone can explain that in the comments. 37. Anyway, high grade nickel product. Low operating costs. That is a must have. Modest enviro footprint. No acid generating host rock and tailings. Jurisdiction. Oh, and most of all, they got hydroelectricity on their site. So Australia, no hydro in Australia, so they're well ahead of any Australian nickel mine. And that's it for this. Thank you and good night.